Doing? Welcome to live stream number 97. Today is Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. And it is the 27th of November, 2017. Thank you so much for taking the time to join today's live stream. Today's topic is my biggest mistakes with Fusion 360. I have to admit it. So I want to show you one of the biggest mistakes that I did when I started out using CAD. So hopefully it can prevent you from doing it, and touch on a couple of things that honestly, if you are not told, I don't know how you really should know about these. So that's what we are going to do today. Also, this is live stream number 97, which means we are sneaking up on number 100. If you're interested in the giveaway, then hang around till the end and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I can see where we got people in here. Let's not waste it. Let's get in and see what some of my screw-ups were starting out. So, find the button here and you should see Fusion 360. All right, so I'm just gonna start out here from scratch and start a new sketch. And I'm just gonna select one of the planes here and start a corner rectangle and give it a couple of dimensions, 100 millimeters. Hit the tab key by 100 millimeters, just like this, and hit Q for press pull, and I'll make it 50 millimeters thick right here. All right, now this is not my biggest mistake, but one good advice is start saving early, right? So I'm gonna go up here and click the save icon. That gives me a chance to give it a name and decide where I want to put this. And whatever name you give things, you know, it could be a part number or my pin code, whatever you kind of want. And we have now clicked the first save. All right. So with this done, I am going to open a new sketch. So I'm just going to right click on this face here and click Create Sketch. And I am just going to do another 2-point rectangle. This shouldn't be too difficult for anybody so far. Click out here, and with that rectangle, we can now hit press pull again, and we can do another kind of extrusion, or in this case, a cut. I'm going to say all the way through, and click that there. Now, so this is my biggest mistake. I call this my $500 mistake, because that was actually what this ended up costing me when I started out with CAD. You need to fully define your sketches. So if I go back to that sketch I just created, that rectangle, right? You see how it's blue, it's not black. Check this out. If by mistake you grab a corner and drag it, what are you doing? Well, you are completely changing that shape. And that was the biggest mistake I think I have done. I've probably done other mistakes, but this is the one that I was thinking of when I came up with the title. And of course, for me, it happened the day where the boss was out on the shop floor and my insert wouldn't fit in there because by mistake, I had actually done that, right? I must have dragged the corner somehow, and suddenly the insert didn't fit. It was one of those days where the boss wanted to investigate, and 30 minutes later, I was sitting in front of my computer, head down, apologizing. So make sure you don't do that. That is, rule number 1 in here. Always make sure that you fully define your sketches. There's different ways you can do that, but we're starting out. First of all, you can use these constraints over here, and we did a live stream on the constraints. So definitely you can look, it was one of the first ones we did. And then of course D for dimension, and we can place some dimensions in here and kind of place a length and a width. And if you ever are in doubt, you see how these two lines are still blue? Just hold down the left mouse button on a corner and start dragging it, and you will see that we clearly are missing something on here. Okay, that is kind of like your indication. Now This case here, I can maybe try to place a dimension from here to here, make it 15, and now we will see that everything turns black. Now, if you, at any point, if there is an instance where there's still a line black or blue, but you cannot drag a corner at all or move it or anything, then it might just be an issue on our end. So I just want to throw that out there. But this is like the most important thing is you take the time to fully define those sketches. It is literally money, that gets wasted. Added this in here. Let's hit save icon again. You get the version description. Put that in there as you are working here. Okay, so we can say added a slot, hit OK to that. So definitely make sure that you are aware of that. Now, another thing I want to show you that mistakes I make is if I go back to the first sketch and I just right click and hit edit, sometimes you realize that I used a corner rectangle here, and I actually wanted it maybe to be placed a little bit differently than on the corner. See, when I hover over this here, you will actually see that right to the left of my mouse cursor, you get two small icons. That's actually two coincidence icons. It's one for each line. So it's one for the endpoint of this line and one for the endpoint of this line. Click on that, you can actually select them and hit delete on your keyboard, and you can delete those two constraints. And when you do that, it actually means that now the endpoint of these lines have now been removed, and you can now move them around, and you can now you can either attach those two, this one to this one, for example, and you could maybe go in now and say, well, you know what, I am going to either use the midpoint from here to here, and you get that midpoint, or you could create a line and do a cross line and do a midpoint if you wanted to kind of like represent a center line. But be aware of you can move these. Now let me hit stop sketch, and you will see that we are still back to our original shape, but where that part is located, where that original sketch is located, is not, the origin is now on this midpoint and not on the corner. So be aware of, you can go back and you can delete these relationships. So I could go back here and delete that center midpoint right there. Okay. Now I've done that. I'm gonna go back up and hit save again. I get another version. Make sure you put these in there. I'm not sure if I'm spelling that right. Make sure you put that in there. Now the next common mistake that I think many of us many times run into, that is not as bad as what I showed you with the fully defined sketches. So if you just came into the live stream, check that out, because that was my $500 mistake. Another thing you can run into is, you see what is top up here? Well, I really think that this surface here should be top, right? But it's kind of like the right now. Ever happens to you? Like you start or you're getting somebody's model in, and you're like, man, I don't think that is not top at all. I want that to be top. Well, all you do is click on the view cube till you get the view you want. So in this case here, I clicked on right. Now it's kind of what I want to be top. Go in here, right click up on the view cube, go down and set current view, and now you can choose to either set it as front or as top. So if I click top, look at the view cube up here. You can kind of see through here. It says right. If I click here, hit top, now it just changed to top, and now I'm looking at it the way what I would think is top. Now it's important for me just to say this. What we did was we kind of we changed the camera, like the way we were looking at the model. We didn't flip anything really upside down on the model. We just changed how we were viewing that. That is one of those things that used to drive me batty when especially if I imported a model. I used to do a lot of work between Mastercam and SolidWorks, and those two programs don't, what one is calling top, the other one is calling front. So when you brought program or parts within, you would find that that can happen. And up here in Fusion, just bring it to the view you want, what you want to be top, right click, set current view as top. Okay? Again, I'm gonna go ahead here and hit the save icon and do a changed view. Now, you normally don't see me really wasting too much time making these kind of saves, but I want to show you some of the reason I'm doing this. Now, if we go over now and we click on the hide the data panel over here to show it, we will see we now have 4 versions of this part. Now, if I click the V for where it says version 4, and I scroll down a little bit, you will see that here are my different saved versions. Now, it shows right now 2, 3, and 4. If I say show all 4, you will see here that it shows 7 minutes ago, Lars created the item. That was our block. Then he did another save where he added the slot. See how that little description I put it in there tells us what we did, those different changes. I honestly, like when I started out, when I used to work in the shop, I would have been a little bit like, well, I don't want my boss to see how many times I actually made changes to a model. But honestly, this is like the best thing ever. You now have a chance to go back, and if there was a certain area where you're like, well, you know what, I didn't want that, you can go back in time. Now, if you gotta go back in time, then what I recommend you do is close down the file you have up here. We already saved it, right? Close this current file, go down here, and let's say that we want to go where we didn't have the view changed, but just where we moved the origin. Right over here next to it, you click on that promote, and it's going to make a copy of this one and push it above number 4. So I click on that. You will see how the pinwheel is spinning up here. Now we have 5 versions. Okay, so you will see move origin is still in the right order. So we didn't just move this one up because that could in theory become confusing. Now with this, double click on the file to open it. I'll click up here, I guess, to open it up, and now we're making sure we're getting that latest file. So how did I get to that again? Hit the version button over here. That opens up this dialog box, and you click show all versions. That's how you can promote previous versions. So I encourage you to save as much as you can. All right, almost done here. Just want to show you a couple of more. I just had a user who sent me an email and said that he had a little bit of a mess on his desktop. What do I mean by that? Well, you ever tried that suddenly you find your menus are kind of like dragging around like this, and you're like, man, what the heck? What do I do? How do I get them back again? That's another mistake, right? You see how there's 2 lines over here? Just grab it, hold down your left mouse button. Now I can see how I can move the menu. Move it upwards, and when I'm moving it slowly up, you will see a green line is going to appear right on top. See that green line? Then we move it down again. Drag it slowly up to the top. I'm holding down my left mouse button. Green line appears, let go, and it snaps into space. Same thing with this menu. Move it to the left, slow down, and green line appears, let go, and it snaps into space. You can actually do the same thing with the menus. If I click on the sketch menu here to start a new sketch, this menu over here can also be dragged around. And you do this by mistake. You're just kind of like snapping and you're like, oh man, I lost the menu. Hold down the left mouse button, drag it over, drag it, wait for the green line. Green means go. Let go, and it snaps into space. Cool? All right. I got 2 more, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna wrap this up, and the last one is gonna be cam. Pretty cool little cam trick that if you didn't know, you would never had a chance to know. The second last thing I want to show you that is important that you know is if you ever want to share a file with somebody, go back into the data panel, right click on the window here, and use share public link. When you click on that, you can say share the latest version with anyone with a link. Click on the little button over here, and a URL will appear right here. You can just hit copy, and this is the one that you can put into an email or something like that, and give other people access to it. Now, and you can even put a password if you want to do that. So that one is right click up here, and then say share public link. You need to know about that one. All right, let's wrap this up with cam. I want to show you something that if you ever are going to do cam, you need to know about this. So I'm going to go into cam, click here, and do a quick setup. And I'm just going to do Z-axis, just like that there. Now, if I want to do a contour toolpath and I only want to select these 3 lines, when I go in and select 2D contour, and I select the geometry contour selection, when I click here, you will see that it selects the entire boundary around there. Now I only want to select these 3 lines. How do I do that? Let me just hit the X, select it, reselect it. You see how now it's blue? When I reselect it, it's turned red. When I do reselect it, I get this little menu up here, and I can choose either to go for a closed contour, or in my case, an open contour. So I click on that, and all I have to do is select these 3 lines, then hit the little plus sign to accept it, and my toolpath will only machine these 3 lines. This is extremely important because this even works if things are a little bit out of whack. What I mean by that, if I go over here to back to the model, let's open up, let's take that sketch I just created, edit that. If I draw something that looks like, let's draw a line over to here, down to here, and close it up again, like that. And let's just hit Q and cut all this away. See how I didn't fully define the sketch? See how we now have like this angle thing, and you're thinking, how the heck am I gonna be selecting that in CAM? It works the same way. If I go back into CAM, select my contour, this works also for adaptive clearing and others. Select here, you will see how it selects the entire kind of like boundary. Well, if I reselect it again, I can select open contour, and I can literally select these 3 edges. Hit the green plus mark, and I have now added kind of like that little segment there. It will machine to that height. So this is how you can select. If you have like, sometimes you have an opening, but there's some radiuses on the bottom, and you kind of like have a weird development. This is how you can do that. So select the chain, reselect it again, and then you can go in and select that open contour, selecting the edges that you want. I wanted to keep this one short. It is Monday. We got 126 people in here. Really appreciate you guys taking the time. So let me just run through them quickly. Fully define your sketches. It's cost you $500 if you don't. That's important. Know that you can actually change your constraints. So if you create a rectangle, you can move the constraint. That thing where you can change the view, right? So that was the one that, let's get out of this because I move things around. If you think that this should be top, not right as it is here, just move it over to the right, right click, set current view as top, and you just made magic happen. You just moved that over. So now this is top. Don't forget to save when you are working in here so you can utilize how you're saving the different versions and how you can promote them over here to kind of like get, you know, a design that you kind of like decide you want to change something, go back in time. You can do that. That was about what I was planning on showing today. Before I end it, we're coming up on live stream number 100, and there's a giveaway. So let me just talk quickly about that. If you've already seen this, sorry, I'm not going to waste your time. You can end right now if you want to. But live stream number 100 is coming up. It should be Thursday. And Curtis Chan, my good friend and colleague, will donate one of these cool Work Fusion 360 shirts. Everybody can participate. Down in the link, you will find a link to a Survey Monkey thing. I'm only asking you to do 3 things. You have to tell me how you're using Fusion. So if you paid for it, if you're a hobbyist, if you're a startup, teacher, student, how many videos about or live streams you're watching on the channel here a week, and then what topics you would like to see more of. From that point on, you can spill your guts if you want to. That you don't have to. You have to put in your name and email if you want to be able to receive the shirt. Now, your email, it's only me who's going to be able to see it. Nobody else is going to see it. You're not going to get spammed. I promise you. If you're getting spam, it's not because you're putting your email in here for me. I will guarantee it. One quick question. Can we save without creating a version? Yes, you actually can. You can go up here. So you know you can do, now I got to just think about it. I think it is hold down Control, hold down Shift, and then hit S. And it's saving. You see how it created a saving here without creating a version. So you can actually save without creating versions if you want to. I honestly think that you should create the versions. Why not? What is the harm, right? Like, you can always go back. Hope you found this was useful. Don't forget down in the description area my email address, any future topics. And for if you want to have a chance to win that shirt, should be Thursday. We're gonna do that. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about how modeling up a knife. So that should be interesting. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that. Hope you have an awesome Monday. I'm gonna do what I normally do. I'm gonna end the broadcast. So if you're watching the recording, thank you. And then I'm gonna jump into the live chat and say hi to everybody. Thank you so much. Hope you have an awesome, awesome day.